The pre-dawn silence of Southwark was shattered on July 8, 2022, when a sudden burst of violence turned a quiet London street into a crime scene. As the city slept, the intersection of life and death met on Southampton Way, leaving a young man fighting for his existence and a community once again grappling with the senselessness of a blade. It was a moment that didn't just capture a single victim. It captured the terrifying frequency of an epidemic that has come to define the darker corners of the capital's narrative. Before we continue with the harrowing details of this story, please take a quick moment to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Your support ensures you don't miss future episodes of the Calendar of Crime as we document the cases that have shaped our history. One date at a time, the call came into the emergency services at approximately 3:20 a.m. First responders arrived at the scene near Butterfly Walk and Southampton Way to find a man in his 20s suffering from multiple stab wounds. The cold glow of blue police lights reflected off the pavement as paramedics worked feverishly to stabilize the victim before rushing him to a major trauma center. In those early hours, the area was quickly cordoned off, with forensic tents rising like ghosts against the urban backdrop, marking the spot where another life had nearly been extinguished. Southampton Way has long been a focal point for Southwark's community, but in recent years, it has also become a symbol of the challenges facing the Metropolitan Police. The incident on July 8th was not an isolated tragedy. It was a symptom of a much larger, more systemic issue. Knife crime in London has seen a disturbing rise, Southwark often finding itself at the center of the statistics. For the residents of the Southampton Way estate and the surrounding streets, the yellow crime scene tape has become an all too familiar sight, a barrier between their homes and the reality of the streets. Witnesses described a scene of chaotic desperation in the moments following the attack. The sound of running footsteps and muffled shouts preceded the arrival of the police. Investigating officers spent the following days scouring CCTV footage from local businesses and residential blocks, hoping to catch a glimpse of the perpetrator. The difficulty of these investigations often lies in the wall of silence, a culture of fear that prevents witnesses from coming forward, leaving families in a state of perpetual limbo as they wait for justice that may never come. The impact of such violence ripples far beyond the physical wounds of the victim. It creates a climate of fear that dictates how people move through their own neighborhoods. Parents keep their children closer, and the elderly avoid walking alone after dark. The Southampton Way incident served as a stark reminder that despite numerous government initiatives and police surge operations, the roots of knife crime, poverty, lack of opportunity, and the allure of gang culture remain deeply embedded in the social fabric of the city. As the sun rose over Southwark on the morning of July 8th, the residents woke to find their street transformed into a high-security zone. The contrast between the mundane morning routines of commuters and the grim work of the forensics team was a jarring illustration of London's dual reality. While the city moves forward, the families of those affected by knife crime are often frozen in time, haunted by the what-ifs and the brutal reality of what was taken from them on a random Friday in July. The Metropolitan Police's efforts to combat this epidemic have involved increased stop-and-search powers and community outreach programs, yet the numbers remain stubbornly high. Critics argue that enforcement alone is not the answer, calling for more investment in youth services and mental health support. The Southampton Way attack added another data point to a map of London already heavily scarred by blade-related incidents, fueling the ongoing debate about how to effectively protect the city's most vulnerable residents. In the weeks following the incident, the community rallied to reclaim their space. Flowers and messages of hope were left near the site of the stabbing, a fragile counter-narrative to the violence that had occurred. These grassroots movements are often the only thing keeping hope alive in areas where crime seems to have gained a foothold. They represent a refusal to be defined by tragedy and a collective demand for a safer future for the next generation of Londoners. Ultimately, the Southampton Way incident of 2022 is a story of survival and a call to action. It highlights the thin line between a normal night and a life-changing tragedy. As we look back on this date, we must acknowledge the victims, the families, and the communities who continue to endure the consequences of a knife crime epidemic that shows no signs of slowing down. It is a reminder that behind every headline and every statistic, there is a human story that deserves to be told. Thanks for watching. Please comment, share, like, and subscribe for future episodes from the Calendar of Crime.